I don't know if you've ever struggled with Rawtil4 because you have to have fruit first thing in the morning and for lunch, and you can't have any other food until 4 o'clock or dinner time, ideally. I've always kind of struggled at getting the fruit part first, and I don't know if it's because I require something that just seems more satisfying or something bulkier. I don't know if you've ever seen my smoothie bowls, but there's a reason why I have a bed of shredded carrots on the bottom of the bowl. Not only is it a little more satisfying because all that nice cream on top just seems like a little too much sweetness, but I kind of like the added bulk. It keeps me full, it gets me a little more satisfied. But it's not really realistic for me to be eating that kind of meal twice a day, every day. So it's amazing that I even get it once a day, most days. But anyhow, this is where I feel like the sugar fasters have done a really good job at kind of figuring out nuance when it comes to this dieting. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people and maybe the Rawtil4 movement way back when it started, maybe that's where a lot of failure came. Some of them tried to do these bulky meals, and a lot of people didn't have success with it. I don't know if it's because they were unintentionally under eating at first, which would cause them to binge later on in the day. That was kind of the camp I was in, and not necessarily binge, but it was hard for me to stick to the protocol. But there would also be the other kind of people who just would eat so much that they would honestly gain weight. And I don't know if that was from the added sugar calories, but that was never the case for me. I just struggled. I never understood the people who could have a whole watermelon for a meal and not feel ridiculously like bursting. I can have a quarter of a watermelon, like a normal sized one, and I seem to be all right with that. But it obviously isn't a lot of calories, so that's why I would never stay satisfied for long. So then they would say, well, eat again. Well, I don't really feel like chopping up some more melon. It seems like it would be easier to just have a meal and be done until the next meal, right? So this is why I've always struggled with fruit first. But these sugar fasters have given me a lot more nuance or these ideas. Our Skeleton City, for example, is a great example of somebody who kind of taught me a little bit about like the mental side of things. And then you could kind of see that anybody who's done fruit first successfully may have adopted some of these traits, and they just didn't know this is maybe why other people were failing with it. But this is what I've noticed. I've had a little bit more success if I kind of change my mindset around it. So the sugar fasters think of it as legit like a fast. So instead of fasting on nothing, they're not having any food, or they're just having water. And some people are crazy enough to just go with coffee all day. Honestly, that's kind of the American way, just going with coffee all day long until maybe they have a really crappy meal at the end of the day. But instead of that, we're going about it a little bit healthier. So we're gonna have fruit all day to kind of carry us through. And honestly, this kind of checks out from things I used to do in the past as an athlete or a competitor. Anytime I had a competition for the day, all I would eat was fruit because it keeps you light, it keeps you energized, and you really don't want that big full stomach all day long. So this kind of just made sense. If I could think of this more as a fast instead of some big bulky satisfying meal, I can get through my day on fruit alone until the late afternoon or evening mealtime. So this I will go over in another video on how I go about my approach, but this is the approach I feel like was so much more helpful than saying, here's an 8 to 10 banana meal, and here's another 8 to 10 banana meal. And while I would love the idea of it, I just can't do it. I'm a family of 6. So it's not realistic. I just can't have that many bananas in my house. It's already crazy the amount of bananas I have in my house for me alone, let alone my children. So I will go over this plan in another one, but it's no new idea. Sugar fasting is it should be a way of being, kind of like a temporary way to maybe lean out a little bit. Some people can make it part of their everyday, and I feel like I'm getting to the point where I can make at least the one meal of fruit part of my everyday. But I'm not saying this is anything forever. I'm not saying that you gotta be perfect with it. But if you feel like leaning out a little bit, this way of eating might help help you stick to fruit first. So I'll tell you in the next one.